Hey friends, today we're doing a VR to Simply Hand, hashtag loveliest decks. Today I'm doing a video response to Han over at Simply Han. She recently put out a hashtag loveliest decks, and these are a lot of fun for me. I typically enjoy doing VRs, and as I was watching, I was already making notes about what decks I wanted to show, and there were a couple that gave me a hard time. So let's get into it, and I'll show you what I've come up with. So for deck number one, this would be the Heartthrob deck, the deck that swept me off my feet at first sight. Well, I did not have to think hard about this one. For me, it was the Wandering Spirit Tarot. I saw this on a Kickstarter and I was immediately pulled in, and it was unlike anything that I had or that I would normally be drawn to, because it's pretty monochromatic, and I'm a person that really loves color. But also like skeletons. I don't know, for some reason I'm just not drawn to decks with skeletons. But the more I read about this artist and the story of the girl and her skeleton, the more I fell in love with this deck, and the more I felt like I needed to know these characters on a more personal level. And working with this deck has been amazing. I have had so many insights. For me, I feel like when I have questions around the ego is when I pull this deck out. Not just that, because it can read on anything, but for me, that is how I see it. And it's just been wonderful. It's just been wonderful. I'm in love with this deck now more than ever, but this was one of those decks that I was instantly in love with, um, and immediately clicked yes. The next prompt is the Hopeless Romantic Deck, the deck that feels the most dreamy and romantic. Well, for me, it is going to be my Shadowscapes. This is probably the most dreamy deck that I have, although I myself don't dream in this way, but when I visualize a dream, this is kind of what I imagine. I feel like this is very much a fairy tale, a land far, far away that most certainly exists, and this deck is very dreamlike for me. Maybe it's like all of the clouds, the movement. It has a very watery feel to it, and I just adore it. So I would say that for me, this would be the deck that I would say is the dreamiest in my collection. Prompt number three was the Soulmate Deck. Again, not difficult for me. This is my tarot of mystical moments. I have a very strong connection with this deck, and I've spoken about this before on the channel. I feel like this deck allows me to see things without questioning what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking, and what I'm feeling. It allows me to tap into imagination, to creativity, uh, and it's just a very, very special deck. I feel like I don't even need card meanings to read with this deck. It's just so special. I'm able to tell stories with the deck, and I don't know. I feel like this deck allows me to feel that there are no limits. I just adore it. It's very, very special, has a very special place in my heart. And yeah, I'll pause right here because this card is just amazing. Prompt number 4 was a self-love deck. The deck that makes me reconnect with myself and practice self-care. For me, it's going to be my lovely Om. Now, February is usually the time where I like to do a lot of self-care, self-love, self-healing type of work, and this is the deck that I've been using this month, and it's just been eye-opening working with it. It's so special. The art is stunning. It tells a beautiful, beautiful story, and the guidebook is amazing. I mean, for any type of reading that I would have to do in this space, this would definitely be the number one deck that I would pull out. It's just incredible. Prompt 5 was the power couple combo, and I have 3 of those. So it was a little difficult, but I ended up not going with the other 2 because the other 2 decks are from the same creator. In other words, a tarot and oracle deck that are by the same creator. So of course they would work amazing. The decks that I wanted to show for this prompt are going to be Seeds from the Sacred Feminine and the Vision Quest. This was a complete and total experiment. I thought that these decks may pair well together, and so I took a chance. Now, the Vision Quest was a lovely gift from overseas, and Seeds of the Sacred Feminine was a deck that I added in order to work with these decks together. And because they have the same theme, they work well, but also the art, I feel like completely different, the colors, but still the same. Like the pairing, look at, like, I know that the card says play a drum, but look at that magnificent sun, and then look at the sun in the sun card. It's just so perfect. I really enjoyed working with both of these decks together, reading with these decks together. Um, I feel like they're a perfect match, and I don't know that I would want to use any other deck with the Vision Quest because of how awesome both of these are together. They're just beautiful, stunning, and I've really enjoyed my time with them, and I'm actually looking forward to doing more work. Um, it's been a very pleasant experience with both of these decks. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at the purples here and then the purples here. It's just so, so good. I mean, 5 of fire with the keyword stress, and then the message that it's time to honor your body. Your body is not meant to handle stress that way. So, what are we going to do in order to help facilitate that, move that energy? It's so good. It's so good. So, this for me is my power couple. I'm going to stop right here because if not, I'll want to keep going. I mean, look at these. Go into nature with the 3 of Earth, growth. I've shared this before. I often see this as the 3 sisters. So to look over here and see those golds, browns, and yellows. the same as here. And then to see these three, maybe they're not sisters. This is probably a mother and, and her children, but passing on that knowledge for them to be able to one day take care of their family the same way. It's just beautiful. I just love these decks. Prompt number 6, the Secret Admirer deck, a deck that I don't use often but secretly adore. Well, that for me is going to be my Shimmering Veil. This deck, it's just amazing. I love it. The artwork in this deck is, to me, I find it to be very energetic in the way that it reads. It's almost like you're reading energy, which works very, very well for me because I tend to pick up on energies and vibes. And so, for that reason, this deck and I work really well together. And this is not a deck that I use all the time because I feel like this deck has a certain use that I like to pull it out for. But when I do have a need for it, boy, does it deliver. I mean, the messages are clear and direct. And it's just stunning to work with. I use this for deeply spiritual questions, maybe even spirit guide questions, and it's just so good. But these are not questions that we get often, right? Most people are reading about things that are going on in their day to day, their career, their home life, different things like that. But every once in a while, I'll get a question on deeper, right? Deeper questions. And this is for sure the deck that I gravitate towards. I don't even put this deck away. It just lives on my uh, table always. And that is the Shimmering Veil. Prompt number 7 was the Forever Love deck. If you could only keep one deck, then which one would it be? Now, obviously, this is a very, very tough one, but I went with the Sasarai Beetle, and I went back and forth. I went through my collection. I went with the Sasarai Beetle because this is a deck actually, and I'll be completely honest. I normally pull this deck for career readings. This is what I use this deck for, and this deck also never gets put away. It lives on my desk and I pull cards from it each week. But in looking at all of my decks, I feel like this is the one that I am the closest, that I have the closest connection with, that I can read the easiest, and that I feel translates to a variety of different questions, whether it be love, career, finances, home. Um, I feel like I could use this deck for a multitude of different themes and topics. So if I had to release all of the decks in my collection and I could only keep one, this may be the one that I hold on to. And this was a tough one for me because the number one deck that came to my mind would be an RWS. Believe it or not, if that was the case that I could only have one, I would want it to be an RWS. But I don't know that I own an RWS clone that I would keep at this moment. Now there are a few that I've been drawn to recently, and I've considered adding into the collection. But for now, it's going to be my Sasarai Beetle. Prompt number 8, the love letter card. A card that feels like a love letter to myself. And for me, it is going to be my significator card, the Queen of Wands. Now, I have connections to quite a few cards in the deck. I feel very close to the Hermit because that is my life path, but also to the Emperor because that's my zodiac card. And I have a very special relationship with the Sun card as well. But if I was going to pick a love letter to myself, it's going to be the Queen of Wands, because she is going to speak to me the way that I need in order to get my butt in gear and do the things that I am wanting to do. I feel inspired when I look at her. I feel like I could do anything. I feel like I can connect to my personal power. I feel that I can find my joy, find my happy place. And I don't know, I feel all kinds of ways. I feel like if I was gonna send a letter, a love letter to myself, it would be filled with this queen's energy. So that will be my love letter to myself. So there you have it, friends. That is my response for Han over at Simply Han with her new and wonderful hashtag loveliest decks. If you decide that you're inspired to do the hashtag as well, I will be more than excited to see what decks you chose. And I'm particularly intrigued by the final prompt, the love letter card. So I'll be curious to look at everyone's VRs to see what they have chosen as their love letter card. But that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Bye.